Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman, here as always with Tom Orr. Tom, how you doing?
Tony, it's going okay.
Is it?
It is going okay. We got to get up bright and early on a Sunday morning and listen to college football coaches talk at a time when they definitely did not want to be talking to us, which is always a delight. The thing I love more than anything in the world is inconveniencing college football coaches.
Yeah, and the worst part about covering these games, this game, like the national championship game or the playoff games, is the morning before. Every morning before, like 9 o'clock, there is the final head coaches press conference where generally everybody gets into a room after generally like the morning after the media party, where nobody wants to be up at 9 in the morning to be in a room. And of course now it's just people in hotel rooms looking at a Zoom, but it's still the coaches have nothing to say. So much of everything has already been written. It's not like pulling teeth because it's like like nobody's at this point. Nobody really wants to be there, kind of, and the coaches certainly don't. And you just try to give them something, and they're all about just really simple answers on stuff that they don't want to talk about, and then it's like they're just trying to get their 30 minutes in, Tom, so they don't get fined.
Exactly. Yeah, it is very much the Marshawn Lynch. Like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Like, the vibe is real strong there. There's a lot of answers about how they don't want to deal with any distractions right now, and they don't want to, they've got to stay on task. They've got to stay focused. And what they're staying focused on is not talking to us for 30 minutes. So You can tell this is a massive inconvenience to them. So, but it's tradition, so we do it. So
I didn't look. Was Saban? Did he put on a suit jacket? Was he like dressed, or was this all like tracksuits?
No, he was dressed. Yeah, they were both dressed appropriately. Like, no one was in a bathrobe or anything, so that was good. But yeah, it's the questions are all the answers to all of the questions are always it's a great season, it's a thrill to be here. They both thank the people who put on the event. That's a very important part of this. And then they're asked to reflect on the season. They don't answer the question because that's just there'll be time for that after the season is over. They're asked to look at the path that got them here. No, we'll have time for that later. There was, I think my big takeaway was that both of these teams talked early in the year about how, the teams that had a lot of maturity and that dealt with the inevitable issues they were going to face this year in this particular season, those were going to be the teams that ended up doing the best. And both coaches felt like their teams handled the adversity that everyone was forced to handle this year better than anyone else did, and that's why they're here.
Yeah, and they told us that before the season. Nick Saban said he told that to his team before the season, and hey, looks like they were the only two coaches that said, hey, whoever handles adversity best will be here, and they were the only two who were right. Not a lot of news came out of this. Jalen Waddle will be a game-time decision, the outstanding wide receiver for Alabama, and it's mainly about how much he thinks he can help, and it'll be his call along with, I guess, the medical people. But we've been discussing, like, is this a smoke screen? I think it would be very difficult for him to go from not doing anything to practicing to playing all in the span of about a week, and then to be able to do anything other than be a decoy. Remember when Ted Ginn got hurt in the national championship game and he came back, he was only a decoy until they're like, well, you're not even a very good decoy because people have seen you run, and now that they don't, there's no respect factor there, so you're wasting our time. And it will be interesting to see if they get Jalen Waddle out there for that, because you have to, like, if he's out there, you're going to have to pay attention to him, and we'll see. What is your gut feeling, Tom? Do you think it's a smokescreen?
I think my over-under on number of receptions he will have on Monday night is 0.5, and I would probably bet the under. I think that it's possible that he plays a few snaps. Possible. I think that he has already accomplished the majority of what he is going to accomplish by being enough of a question mark that Ohio State has to spend some time this week preparing for him. I don't expect him to be a big part of the game based on, if it's still really a game time decision, and based on when he returned to practice and the injury was pretty severe ankle injury. So this was not like, he has a sprained thumb, and if he's back, he's back. This was a pretty severe ankle injury where there's going to be a pretty significant ramp-up period there. So I don't really expect a whole lot out of him on Monday. It wouldn't shock me if he played a little bit, but I don't, 5 snaps to just be a little bit of a, oh, look, there he is, and then, that's it. That's sort of my expectation, but that's obviously not a firm and final answer.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what he looks like in warm-ups, I guess.
Yeah, we will. Malachi Moore, one of their DBs, still very questionable. LeBron Ray, one of their defensive linemen, is more probable. Probably more probable, I think, is what Nick Saban said. So that's really the gist of the personnel updates. As we know, Ryan Day did not give one out. Anything wasn't even asked. People have finally learned.
Right.
The national media has finally learned. Like, don't even bother with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will get that availability report tomorrow night around 7 p.m. ish, guessing, when OSU finally releases who is not here, and then who is here by proxy not being on that list. And until then, we can't say, and we don't know. It could be anybody. Well,
and we did see some folks who we were not necessarily expecting to be here on Saturday. That is Sunday, Saturday night. It's been a year. It's already been a year. We're only like 10 days in. It's already been a year. So we did see there are a couple folks who we were not expecting to see here, who then posted on Instagram to blow any possibility of the surprise. So, Antoine Jackson and Teron Vincent were names that we had heard were potentially not going to be able to play. They obviously haven't stepped on the field yet, but they are both in Miami. That is very big news for Ohio State in terms of the middle of the defensive line.
Yeah, and it provides depth that more than depth, because if they hadn't been playing, then you'd be playing the guys behind them who have not played this year, like Ty Hamilton or Jaden McKenzie. So the fact that they are here is a very good sign, assuming they're going to play and they're not just here to play ping pong with Justin Fields, which didn't seem like it was that difficult to do.
Yeah.
Based on what I saw from Justin Hilliard.
My impression is that the players who are pretty good athletes on the Ohio State football team are also pretty good. That athletic ability carries over to other sports. That was, I think, my main takeaway from Instagram ping pong last night.
Would you pick Alabama against Ohio State ping pong? Who do you like?
Well, Forrest Gump was from Alabama, and we saw what kind of ping pong player he was. He was a former Alabama football player.
Alabama is a ping pong school.
Yeah, and
I think it's fair to say.
And I think it's reasonable to expect that based on other elements of their history, Alabama football has probably claimed some ping pong national championships as well. So I think almost undoubtedly you have to go with the tide there.
It's like for 6 decades, it's like China, and then
Forrest Gump,
Alabama,
roll tide.
So that was today, and so there's not much else to say from that. So I thought, Tom, I've got some over-unders from actual sportsbook on this game, some prop bets.
I like doing yours better because a lot of them are poorly thought out and therefore easy for me to answer. These are going to be done by professionals, and I'm going to have to make the thinking face a lot.
These are basically like the scientists. So I won't give you all of them because there's a bunch here, but and these are some just odds, not necessarily some over-unders here. Margin of victory: Alabama 1 to 6 points is 17-4. So basically 4-1 odds that they're going to win by less than a touchdown. Ohio State, on the other hand, 6-1 odds.
To win by
1 to 6 points.
1 to 6 points. I guess we'll spoil the surprise. I am picking Alabama to win by 1 to 6 points. So yeah, I think that's a reasonable guess. I mean, Ohio State is probably. I've seen a lot of statistical analysis that the computer projection systems have Ohio State with like a 40% chance to win, which is right about where I had them pegged last week against Clemson. So if you want to read that into that, you are more than welcome to do that. But I mean, that's about right. So I mean, 6 to 1 is not. If you were doing it just as a value play, 6 to 1 for Ohio State is pretty good money. But that's not what I'm picking.
Well, and if they win by 7, you lose.
Right.
So
yeah. Although if you lose by if Ohio State wins by 7 instead of 6, I have a feeling that most of the listeners of this podcast would be okay with taking that cash loss for.
Here's something that Alabama by 43 or more points is 16-1.
43 or more?
Yes.
To score 43
No,
or to win by 43?
Is the same odds you can get for Ohio State by 13 to 18 points.
That seems ludicrously low. Like,
It's right, you see right there.
Spell out the scenario for me where Alabama wins by 43 points.
Like 59 to 16.
But we saw what it looked like when Alabama could have won a game by 43 points. That was in the National College Football Playoff semifinals. And as soon as they get up by 3 scores, Nick Saban throttles it down and tries to get the heck out of there. He's not trying to win with style points. He's trying to just get the heck out of there and win the game. I cannot fathom a scenario where Alabama wins by 43 or more points.
No, but, some Tide fans will, I like them odds.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is the we would like to take your money, Alabama fans.
Ohio State by 43 or more is 100-1. I
think that's extremely plausible. That's great value. No,
I think Ohio State is more likely to win by 43 because, like, we saw what Notre Dame. I'm not saying it's likely, but what Alabama did to Notre Dame. You're right. You're throttling it down.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, I don't know if they feel like throttling it down right now. So maybe the 100-1 odds are fine, but I'm saying like maybe Alabama should be 102-1.
I think the biggest issue you're going to run into there, other than the fact that these teams are not that dissimilar in terms of talent level, is also these teams are not teams that are going to quit. Like this is not, when you beat a team by 43 points, it's because you've beaten them so badly that they've completely quit. Alabama is too talented to beat by 43 points. Ohio State has gone through way too much crap to quit at this point. If Ohio State's down by 14 points at halftime, they're not going to mail in the second half. So
we'll get to those prop bets.
Yeah, I can't fathom if someone blows someone out in this game, it's a 20-point game. It's not anywhere close to 40.
Well, you say that, Tom. Alabama by 25 to 30 points is only 10-1, which is the same as Ohio State by 7 to 12.
I mean,
the disrespect being shown to the Buckeyes right now.
It is because what's the overall line? It's still like 7.5 or 8, right?
8.5 maybe now.
8.5. Yeah, I mean it's that I don't really see that being. I would say Ohio State by what was that 13 points? I mean, there's a much more plausible scenario where Ohio State can just run the ball like crazy, pressure Mac Jones, create a turnover or two, and the Alabama defense can't hold up against the Ohio State offense. I think the Ohio State offense is going to score too many points against the Alabama defense to get completely blown off the field. You're not losing 59 to 10. You're not losing 49 to 13. The Ohio State's going to score 20 something points even if it's a terrible game. So I don't see them just getting completely wiped off the field.
Ohio State, if they win by 2 touchdowns, that pays off 16-1. I think that's not implausible, and that's a pretty good payoff.
It's certainly not impossible. Again, I don't think that's the most likely scenario, but that's not the craziest. That's not the craziest number you could come up with.
Because Alabama by 37 to 42 is 20-1, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
So Tom, let's go to the first half margin of victory. Alabama by 13 points or more is only 7-4.
Wow.
Ohio State by 13 or more is 5-1. It's almost like they almost expect
7-4. That's which is strange to me because if the overall line is 8 or 8.5, for them to be up by 13, like Alabama is so much better than Ohio State that the only reason Ohio State is even remotely competitive in the game is a corner kind of like fig leaf touchdown at the end, backdoor cover kind of thing. I don't understand that. I don't get that number.
Well, here's another number for you, Tom. Alabama by 1 to 6 is the same as Ohio State by 7 to 12, 6-1 odds. So I understand the 1 to 6. You're thinking, well, it could only be like 3, basically, ish, and so they expect it's going to be more than 3 points, and then Ohio State leading by 7 at the half. They think is like it's the same impossibility. Just I feel like if Ohio State knew how little this sportsbook thought of them, they would run through Alabama.
Unrelated question: is sports gambling legal in the state of Florida?
I think I saw some places in Tom. I know you said legal, We're in Miami. Anything is possible in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Legal, possible. It's a thin turquoise line there.
We're gonna go gamble on some alligator races later today. I think that's what I'm hearing.
So the thing is, Don, they put poodles at the other end. It's like, go get that poodle.
This got dark.
That's the show. Will either team take a lead after trailing by 15 points or more? It's a yes plus 250. No, it's a minus 400. Meaning,
yes. Will they pull the 2014 or 2015 Sugar Bowl where Ohio State was down 21-6? And
right. In terms of the minus, you'd have to bet 400 to win 400. That's a minus.
You
400.
have to bet 400 to win 100.
Yeah.
Yes.
To win 100.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the answer is no, because that's a very. I mean, it's possible. And it's more possible because this is probably going to be a game that ends up minimally in the 30s and possibly in the 40s. One of the questions on the call today was whether the game was going to end up in the 50s. It's like that seems pretty high, just because I think both teams are going to be able to run the ball reasonably well. And if you can run the ball reasonably well, that clock keeps moving. You're not having a bunch of 90-second scoring drives if you're doing a lot of your damage on the ground. And I think Ohio State's probably going to do a decent amount of the damage on the ground. And, Alabama also has a pretty talented running back. I would expect to see some Najee Harris on Monday night. Don't want to spoil any surprises, but, I don't think this game gets into the 50s. It wouldn't shock me if it got into the 40s to high 30s kind of game. But, I mean, the over-under last time I saw was 75.5. That's probably a little high, I think. Probably.
Well, Tom, will both teams score at least 30 points? Which do you think is the favorite? Yes or no?
I think the answer is yes, so I'm going to guess that the favorite is yes.
That is correct. Yes is minus 160.
Mm-hmm.
No is plus 120. The 160 is a 5 to 8 odds, so basically they expect it to happen, which...
Okay, explain this to me. You can get these great odds for that because everyone's expecting both teams to score in the 30s. But then also, there's not crazy odds for Alabama to win by 40. So is Alabama going to score 80 points? I'm super unclear how all these numbers are supposed to fit together.
Now, the thing is, you throw a bunch of numbers there, and then they're hedging all of their bets.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom, it's not about what they think. It's about, as we all know, it's about how much money they can bring in on these bets. Mm-hmm. As everybody who loves to gamble tells you, when just a couple of regular guys start talking about the lines and what Vegas thinks it is. Well, it's not even Vegas. It's an offshore gambling site. But the Vegas of, just the overall sports betting scene. Will either team score 40 or more points, Tom? What is the favorite there?
The answer has to be yes.
Yes is a minus 250. No is plus 180. So yes, 2 to 5 odds that at least one team will score 40, which is pretty crazy in the fact that you have the two best teams here. And yet it is still expected that somebody's going to score in the 40s. And, of course, that's because of the two great offenses and two pretty good defenses. But you just the expectation that somebody is held in the 30s. I don't think this is a great bet.
I think the winning team is probably somewhere in the 38 to 42 range. So it's like that's not one I'd necessarily put a whole bunch of money on. Will one of the teams get into 50s? Okay. Will neither of the teams stay in the 20s? Okay. But yeah, I think 40 is like right for whatever it's going to take to win the game.
Tom, will either team score 50 or more points? What is the favorite?
The favorite has to be.
No is a minus 250. Yes is a plus 175. I think because the offenses are going to be so successful that you're going to have to be like, I don't even know how many possessions are going to be in this game. It probably won't be like 14 or 15. Is it like 12 or 13? Then you have to be successful on 8 of your 12.
Yeah, I mean that's the big issue is the way you blow a team out is you're getting a bunch of 3 and outs, and then you're scoring quickly. I don't know that either of these defenses are going to get a bunch of 3 and outs. I think there's and especially with the way these teams are probably going to run the ball, the 3 and outs that aren't going to happen are it's going to be 6 plays and it's going to be 3 minutes off the clock. 4 minutes off the clock, 8 plays. I mean, I think there's going to be a bunch of that kind of stuff where you don't have 3 plays, 4 yards, 37 seconds off the clock. Like those are the possessions that turn into someone scores 50, someone scores 60. I don't see a ton of those in this game.
And if it's like 38-17 in the fourth quarter, like at the start of the fourth quarter, you could see whichever team is winning just trying to get that clock moving and keep it moving. Ooh, Tom, I don't like this one. Will either team's starting quarterback not finish the game? There.
What does not finish the game mean? If Ohio State,
that's a good,
can I parlay that with Ohio State wins by 43
so.
and then C.J. Stroud is?
I mean, it says not finish the game. That's all it says. It doesn't say like injury or it just says not finish the game. So now, but still, throwing the backup in there when you're by 21 points in the fourth quarter is still iffy.
Well, and that's the thing. And yeah, throwing the backup in, and also there's a certain amount of, sometimes they just want the starters to be in there at the end of the game. You know, I'm trying to remember back to the national championship game against Oregon when Ohio State was up by 22 points at the end of the game. I guess the game ended with Oregon on the field because the last play of the game was a Mariota interception. But, I mean, and Ezekiel Elliott scored. So I guess Ohio State did have its offense on the field the whole time. But that game was what, 15 points when he scored that touchdown. So not a crazy big advantage. And Ohio State did have its quarterback on the field at the end of the 2002 national championship.
Is that
game.
right?
Yes, and so did Miami.
Although, at the end.
Yes, at the very end. Yes, yeah. That's an interesting one. I guess I would bet on. I mean, the safe bet has to be yes, right? That's the favorite has to be yes.
Well, either starting quarterback not finish.
Either. So then the favorite would be no.
Right. No is minus 500. Yes is plus 300. Yes is a 3-1 odds. So, Tom, this is a good one. Longest touchdown of the game. The over-under is. What do you think the over-under is?
The over-under is probably right in the neighborhood of 50. I'm going to say like 52.5, 53.5, something like that. 50. Is it 54.5?
It is 54.5.
Boom! Nailed it.
On your third attempt, after I was going like, yeah. But
boom!
Eventually,
you got it. No, as always, all the credit goes to you and your lean. That's the yeah. Yeah, that's about right. I mean, and I think the answer to that is over. I would imagine the favorite on that is over because you just with where the vulnerabilities are on these teams. Safety play has not been a real strength. Both teams have wide receivers that can take the top off the defense. I would be fairly surprised if that was under.
If I'm betting, and there is no like favorite, it's just the over under. I would be surprised if that wasn't. Came in the under. I would bet the over just based on you get the running backs, you get the receivers, and even Justin Fields. Not that he's going to go 55 yards, but they do take shots, and that seems like I would go the over there. Will there be a defensive or special teams touchdown scored, Tom? What do you think the favorite is here?
The favorite is probably no, I would think.
Yeah, no is minus 200. Yes is plus 150, so it's not a huge favorite.
No, it's and that's not. Yeah, it's not crazy unthinkable. I mean, the last time these teams played, you did have Steve Miller interception, and boy, I wonder what kind of odds you could have gotten on the Steve Miller pick six before that game. I'm going to guess better than 16-1, but yeah, no, that's. I think it's possible. I think the biggest issue you're going to have is kickoffs are functionally out because they're basically not a thing that people do anymore, kickoff returns. So, yeah, I mean, I think you're relying on a punt return from Alabama or something like that, or and maybe a pick six. But these are not quarterbacks that make a ton of mistakes. So,
but the kickoff issues with Ohio State,
that's true,
could present something. So keep that in mind. Will there be overtime, Tom? What do you think is the favorite there?
The over, that has to be no. Yeah. No has to be a strong favorite there, like a minus 500?
Minus 1,600.
1,600, wow.
16-1 odds that there will be overtime. So yes, take the yes is plus 600.
What a fulfilling bet that will be.
Yes. Here's one, Tom, that I like. Which will be said first? Heisman or Lawrence? Which do you think is the favorite?
Heisman. Heisman has to be the heavy favorite.
Heisman is minus 300. Lawrence is plus 200. It would be interesting just if, for some reason they say like Lawrence Taylor, Lawrence Olivier,
Yeah, what are the odds on them saying Lawrence Olivier? I'm going to guess that's plus 50,000.
So Lawrence Olivier once said of football,
See, with these, I always wonder, like the guys who are the broadcasters, like that would be such an easy thing to fix, like with that without impacting the outcome of the game at all. Like if you're Chris Fowler and you see these odds, like just tell your buddy, load up on Lawrence because I am going to start Ohio State enters after defeating Trevor Lawrence, and then the bet cashes 13 seconds into the broadcast.
Well, and you could double up because Tom, the next one is which will be said first, Buckeyes or Tide. Ohio State is minus 140. Crimson Tide is even. Now, you can understand why they would say Buckeyes first, and that would be the favorite because Alabama being the number one seed is also the home team. You announce the visiting team first, and then.
But on the broadcast, I think it's the number one Alabama Crimson Tide and the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes. Well, I think I'd put some money on the Tide there.
Interesting. Which will be said first, Tom, and you can tell me which one of these is the favorite. Dabo or Urban?
Urban feels like, well,
Dabo's minus 300.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Urban's in the news right now.
But
well, I guess you're gonna be talking about Dabo and his motivational.
There you go.
Yeah. Mm.
So I don't know that I could see the entire thing going without either of these two guys being.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a dare to dream?
Well, unless Alabama's winning by 43 or more, and they have to fill the broadcast.
Yes,
parlay Urban with that, and then
So that was all of those that I have from the national championship prop bets. What do you think? Are you gonna? Hopefully somebody keeps track of everything because we're not going to do it, and sees whether you say you're going to bet $5. Do you think you would have come out on top?
I think what we need to do is we need to come up with the most elaborate 7-way parlay between these that would cash. You cash a $5 bet into $117. So. Yeah, I'll take both teams score over 30, parlayed with neither team scores over 40, parlayed with Alabama wins by 1-6, parlayed with no overtime, parlayed with
Buckeyes being said first, or Tide being said first. That's nice and even.
That's risky. That's risky.
Right.
That's risky.
You don't want to leave it up to the odds.
I might just. Stop right there. But parlayed with both quarterbacks finished the
game. And do you screw it up by going no, there's not going to be defensive or special teams?
Yeah.
Are you going to throw in the 54.5-yard touchdown as well?
I'll take the over there. Yeah, parlay all of those things, man. And I'm going to be so salty if this bet would have cashed and sports gambling is not legal in Florida, man.
And you know what? Maybe somebody will take your parlay and wouldn't that make you irate if somebody's like, Tom, I took your parlay and look what I made?
I will not be irate at that. I would be thrilled if you cashed. I would be thrilled if you cashed that bet. I would be furious. I would be irate if someone stole from you. I would be irate if someone came back and said, "You owe me $5." Turns out they said Tide. They said Buckeyes first. Jerk.
I would be irate because that's stealing, Tom. That was my idea for this parlay, even though it was yours. You take that and then now you provided for your family. How dare you? Because that money is totally going to go back to the family.
If there's one thing I can't stand, it's people providing for their families. The worst.
Not on my watch.
Not on my watch.
No, sir. So that does it for the over-unders. Anything else we learned today, Tom? From anything?
That Alabama reporters like to ask Nick Saban about all of his, what was it? Most incredible teams? All these amazing teams. There was a question that was just basically, how would you rank this team as compared to your other championship teams? And it was like, you're absolutely incredible teams.
It was either like you're just stupendous talent or preposterous talent. It was one of these
stupendously talented teams. I think might have been it. Yes.
Geez, wow. Tom, why are we even here?
Dial it back, Debbie.
Alabama has stupendous talent. Ohio State, middling.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they have talent. No one argues that they have talent.
Slightly below stupendous. Tom, can slightly below stupendous, or maybe just below stupendous, let's be frank, based on these odds, can below stupendous dare to compete with?
Just as we're talking right now, I'm suddenly thinking that Alabama by 43 bet not looking so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what with the stupendousness?
It's hard to ignore the stupendousness. I've said that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said that. When you look at games, if there's a stupendous team, you've got to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anybody else says. If you have a team that is, hey, pretty good, no, you're taking your money into your own hands. But if they're stupendous, bet away. And not that we condone betting, because we don't.
No, especially not in places where gambling is not legal.
Right.
Such as this establishment.
This particular hotel room, correct. So I think that will do it then, Tom. Do you have anything else?
I think that will do it. And people, I'm sure, are wondering, so when are you going to do a pregame show? Are you going to do 17 pregame shows like you did last week? Answer, probably. So I think the plan right now is we're going to do some kind of a YouTube live stream on Sunday afternoon. I don't know if we'll end up doing that here or we're going to do that outside. Looks like it might be a little breezy outside, so maybe we may have to do that inside. Last week we did it, one at the stadium, one on the riverfront on the Mississippi. We can go outside and do it outside, which will give you a nice little dose of local color, but also...
I'm looking at the cars on the highway go by right now.
Yeah, but also you get a little wind noise, and there is a please don't feed the alligator sign behind our hotel, so...
Is there really?
I would like to... Yes, there is. Please don't feed the wildlife. Yes, snakes and alligators. So yeah, we'll have Gerd do the second podcast waiting. Plus 400, plus 4,000. Gerd does the next live stream ankle deep in the water behind our hotel. I got to tell you, there's good value there.
That's quality content, Tom.
So we'll have some kind of a Facebook or YouTube live on Sunday afternoon. We'll have at least a pregame show on Monday from the stadium. We'll have a post-game show from the stadium on Monday night, late Monday night, early Tuesday morning. You guys all stayed up with us for the Sugar Bowl. I'm sure you'll stay up for us with us for this one as well. And then we're going to have a whole bunch of content at BuckeyeScoop.com today, though. So
still got time to work on that. Tom, who's going to be on the Morning Scoop tomorrow?
I have a strong suspicion it's going to be Tony Gerdeman. I haven't planned ahead yet, but my strong suspicion is that we'll have Tony Gerdeman on the Morning Scoop for Monday morning because... I feel like the national championship game is going to have to be one of the topics we cover on that show, and here you are with me. So,
all right, that's fine. That's totally fine. I've got nowhere else to go. So, thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out BuckeyeScoop.com because, as Tom said, there is plenty of stuff there for you to read about this game, the recruiting stuff. We were at 7-on-7s practice yesterday. There's some photos there from South Florida Express. One of the best 7-on-7 teams in the nation, so that's going on there as well. Check it out. If you're not yet a member, we highly suggest that you do that. We're not telling you to do it. It's just a suggestion. Try it out. See what you think.
Take your gambling winnings and apply it to an annual membership for BuckeyeScoop.com.
Right, exactly. It will be fun for the entire family, just like gambling. So, thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you guys later.